What's the biggest lie you believed about yourself? I was the kid who couldn't speak. Not wouldn't, couldn't. By age 7, selective mutism had stolen my voice everywhere except home. I still remember the day our 3rd grade teacher made us give book reports. Other kids stood confidently, sharing stories about adventures and heroes. I just sat frozen. When Mrs. Rodriguez called my name, silence filled the room like thick fog. At home, she marked "refuse to participate" in red ink across my assignment sheet. Dad looked at my report, then at the red mark. Without a word, he knelt down to my eye level. "Your voice," he said, "is worth hearing." By 5th grade, I was brilliant on paper. Teachers would praise my essays, my creative writing flowing like poetry. Dad would hang my stories on our refrigerator like masterpieces. He'd come home from long construction shifts, his clothes covered in dust, and still read every word I wrote. "Words are your superpower," he'd say. Then Marcus Webb happened. He cornered me during lunch, surrounded by his crew. "Hey, mute boy, cat got your tongue again? Bet you're just stupid and can't think of anything to say." They were wrong. I had everything to say. The laughter followed me everywhere. "Weirdo," they'd whisper just loud enough for me to hear. Probably brain damaged. I started hiding during presentations. When my perfect grades dropped to C's, the school called. Dad took time off work, hours we couldn't afford to lose. But when he got home, he just sat beside me on our back deck, still in his work boots. "What's going on, kiddo?" he asked, his voice rough but caring. I stared at the wooden planks. "Those kids at school," I finally whispered. "They say I'm broken, that something's wrong with my brain." Dad was quiet for so long I thought he'd given up on me. Then he placed his calloused hand on my shoulder, his eyes suddenly determined. "Listen to me," he said, his voice steady. "Everyone at that school thinks quiet means empty. Your teachers, those bullies, they're all wrong." He squeezed my shoulder. "So tomorrow, we're going to show them what real strength looks like." The next morning, Dad transformed. Hair combed back, face freshly shaved. He wore a button-down shirt I'd only seen at parent conferences. "Am I in trouble?" I asked. "No," he said, straightening his collar with purpose. "But they are." He walked into school like he belonged there, straight past the receptionist who scrambled to catch up. I followed, half worried, half proud. He knocked once on the principal's door, then entered. Mrs. Parks looked up, irritated until she saw his expression. "Mr. Jones." "That's right," Dad interrupted. "The construction worker's son, the problem child." Her face shifted. Dad hadn't just built half this town. She'd hired his company for her own home renovations. "I want Marcus Webb and his parents here today, and if you tell me that's impossible, I'll be discussing with the school board how you've handled bullying under your watch." Mrs. Parks studied him, then me. I saw something change in her demeanor, maybe understanding, maybe accountability. "And," Dad continued, leaning forward slightly, "I'll mention how you told me last year that kids like mine just need to try harder to fit in." The meeting happened that afternoon. I watched through the window as Dad sat across from Marcus's parents, both attorneys in tailored suits. He never raised his voice, but by the end, Mrs. Webb was checking her phone nervously. Mr. Webb kept clearing his throat like words wouldn't come. Marcus mumbled an apology, but it was his parents' expressions I'll always remember. Complete shame. As they left, his mother couldn't meet my father's gaze. "Never let anyone silence your worth," he said quietly, taking my hand.